Well, it's time now for our international press review, and for that I'm joined in the studio by Diptyque Laurent. Hi, Dipty.
Hi, Haxi.
Now, here in France, papers, perhaps unsurprisingly, focusing on a controversy over political parties holding a march this coming Sunday against anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that's right. It's not so much the march that's a problem, but it is the sort of political infighting that has ensued. The presidents of the French Senate and the National Assembly have called for this unity march to protest against the rise in anti-Semitism. Over 1,000 anti-Semitic acts have been registered in France since the outbreak of the war in Gaza. Cracks have begun to emerge in the show of French political parties' unity, however, notably because of the presence of the far-right National Rally Party, which the left-wing France Unbowed party is using to justify its own absence from the march, a justification or rather a pretext. That's what Libération says on its front page, for whom the absence of the far left party would be far more damaging than the presence of the far right party. So you'll have to sort of it's a bit of a complex issue. The presence of the far right, for some, is problematic, given that its founder, Jean-Marie Le Pen, has been found guilty on several occasions of anti-Semitic discourse. The conservative daily Le Figaro explains actually makes some attempts to defend his daughter, Marine Le Pen, who of course is a current leader of the far-right party, saying that while she is his daughter, she has never leaned into her family's anti-Semitism. For the paper, the political controversy is a, quote, mediocre quarrel that is tarnishing a noble cause. On the other side of the spectrum, you have L'Humanité, the communist paper, which says that the presence of the far-right party is unthinkable, reminding readers that there are even divisions within Emmanuel Macron's party, and the paper really relaying calls by certain left-wing parties to create a physical barrier around the far-right party at that march this Sunday. As L'Opinion says on its front page, this great march, with great intentions, has turned to a big, great mess.
Meanwhile, Dipty, a cartoon about the war in Gaza published by the Washington Post's award-winning illustrator Michael Ramirez has been slammed as both racist and offensive, and it's now been removed.
That's right. The Washington Post took that cartoon down on Wednesday. The drawing is, though, up on other websites, as you see here on the Las Vegas Review-Journal. This is the cartoon in question. It features there a Hamas leader criticizing Israel's strikes on Gaza while he himself is using civilians as human shields. The Post has pulled down this cartoon as a result of numerous critiques that were sent to the papers by readers. Notably, one of them being, some of them, actually the complaints were quite varied, some objecting to the physical caricatural depictions of Arab people, others seeing in the Hamas leader's comments a sort of sarcasm that attempts to excuse Israel's war in Gaza, which has killed over 10,000 people now, others objecting to the conflation of Palestinians with Hamas, each seeing a different offensiveness in this cartoon.
Meanwhile, the world and the media's attention has, of course, been focused firmly on Israel and Gaza in recent weeks. But another conflict, Dipty, in Sudan is garnering very little attention, despite the extraordinary impact on civilians.
Yeah, and this conflict is not new. It's been raging since April this year. You can read about it in Vox today, which has quite a large article about the fighting in the Sudanese capital of Khartoum. Broke out in April. At least 9,000 people have been killed in the violence since then. And even more injured, although that number is probably far, far higher, Vox explains. The humanitarian crisis in Sudan is unprecedented. 4.8 million people have been displaced. 3 million of them are children. 19 million children are out of school in a country where the median age is 18. UNICEF has warned of this crisis becoming a forgotten humanitarian catastrophe. Vox explaining also that Sudan's population is 3 times that of Israel and the Palestinian territories combined. Couple this with the abject poverty of this country, it means that the consequences of conflict are acutely terrible.
Of course, Dipty, a crisis that urgently needs attention, but let's try to end on a slightly lighter note if we can, and I think you've managed to. Low-flying helicopters apparently proven to be an accidental aphrodisiac for crocodiles. I don't know what we're about to get, but I'm interested.
Look, this one needs a bit of explaining, Haxi. The Guardian is thankfully there to explain it, although the headline probably doesn't give you any more clues about what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Guardian reports that a low-flying helicopter over Kurana Crocodile Farm in central Queensland in Australia recently accidentally triggered a giant crocodile orgy. Apparently, the farm's 3,000 reptile residents found themselves really uncontrollably aroused by the low hum of the whirling blades of this helicopter. To quote the farm's owner, one of the male crocs bellowed at the sky, and after that, all the male crocs mated like mad. It's unclear why, though. It is peak crocodile mating season. That might have something to do with it. Perhaps the whirls also sound like thunderstorms, which to crocodiles indicate the beginning of wet weather, which is usually when they mate. Somehow, anyway, since then, they seem to associate chopper blades with mating. You can call it the croc's Viagra, if you like, Haxi.
That is exactly how I shall be referring to the phenomenon here on in. Diptyque Laurent with a look through the day's top stories in the international press. Thank you very much.